Let's go.
Welcome to the Integrative Edge, your go-to podcast for fresh perspectives on holistic health and functional movement. Join us as we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably.
I'm Kelly Demers, founder of the Integrative Wellness Coalition and the owner of True North Performance.
I'm Lindsay, doctor of physical therapy and owner and operator of Uplifted Oncology Rehab.
I'm Dr. Kimberly Klimek, licensed pharmacist and owner of Innate Healing and Performance.
You can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Welcome to the Integrative Edge, where we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably. I'm Kelly Demers, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Dr. Lindsay and Dr. Kim Klimek. In today's episode, we are breaking down goal setting, how to set goals that actually stick, avoid common pitfalls, and make progress you can feel proud of. Whether you're dreaming big or tackling the everyday, this episode will give you the tools to turn your vision into reality. Let's get started. Good morning, lady.
Good morning.
All of us talk to our clients about setting goals. Dr. Lindsay, do you want to talk about how you have that discussion with your clients?
Absolutely. So as a physical therapist, this is the bread and butter of what I do. Like, this is the number one thing when, patients or clients come in to me, we sit down, we talk about, okay, why you're coming in today. And the number one thing is goal setting. What kind of goals do you have for your therapy? And it's very important as a professional, we have to kind of guide our patients too a little bit on the goal setting. It's great to have lofty goals, that's wonderful, but you have to kind of break it down sometimes for those patients. I think of one example I worked with a client that was wheelchair bound for 2 years. So she did not do a whole lot of walking. And can you guess what her big goal was? To walk, which is great, but it's almost too much. You have to kind of set those little goals, just to have those little victories, because you can absolutely move towards that big goal, but you have to have those little steps along the path.
For sure.
Yeah,
keeping things realistic is absolutely important.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's easy to get unmotivated, right? When you set a goal that's so large and so out of reach that it seems unattainable.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talk about is breaking down into small goals. So somebody that has a bigger goal, one of your clients that comes in with a lofty goal, how do you have that conversation to say,
Well, I think I just start with, that's a wonderful goal. I never shoot down a goal. So if that's what's important to you, that's what's important to me. But as a professional, you have to, look at what things can we do, like steps along the path that we can obtain to get that loftier goal. So, like I said, for example, for the walking, she had that lofty goal to walk again. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe we need to start with, doing some, seated stuff where we build up your core strength. And then, okay, once we achieve that, let's work towards standing and getting your endurance while you're being up. So it's making those little goals. And, too, as a therapist, we do what we call progress notes, where we kind of check in periodically. And then the patient is aware too, okay, where they are in the process of things. Are you obtaining these goals? Look, we met this goal. Now we can branch towards the next step. So I think having those little victories, those little wins really helps kind of motivate the patients to achieve that bigger goal. And they can actually see the progress. Because I think that's a huge part too. I think if you only have that lofty goal, you feel like it's never achievable, like you said.
Yeah, you have to have the little baby steps that get there.
Yes.
Like you said, you need those little wins to keep you going sometimes.
Correct.
Progress notes is a great one to add for any goal, right? Because one of the things that we run into is sometimes you achieve little things along the way, but you didn't achieve the main goal. And so it's easy to say you failed. When you look back at those progress notes, it's a great way to remind yourself of how far you've already come.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we all know that the journey to the goal is never just linear. You can on Instagram, there's always all those little graphs, and it's it shows you the little steps, and then you take a dive down, and then you jump back up when you have your wins, and that's very, very true.
When you work with your clients, do you talk about obstacles and setbacks being part of the process?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially in my line of work, honestly, because usually So my process in the beginning is any clients who are usually looking to work with me, yes, I do have like on my little intake form, I have a first question that says your primary reason for wanting to work together, what are your goals? And they'll document them right then and there before I even like see them for an initial visit, because I definitely want to know what they're trying to achieve, first of all. And then when I do meet with them, we are really kind of narrowing down their unique health goals, and that looks different for everybody, right? And I know you kind of hit a little bit of it on it, Lindsay, but like your client there, she has a specific unique goal. And I always tell my clients to not compare themselves to anybody else. They are literally on their own journey in their path. Yes. Yeah, so we know that comparison is what do they say? It's a joy thief, right? But your goals are not going to look like somebody else's goals, and especially because we all are unique individuals, especially with like our genetic makeup and yada yada, all the extra things that make us unique. And so I'm like, somebody who may be dealing with like thyroid issues is very different than maybe a client of mine who has like polycystic ovarian syndrome or something like that, or a different chronic, challenge that they're trying to get through. Their goals are going to look different than somebody else's goals. And so we're really just trying to pinpoint their unique health goals and then kind of start from, you want to get a baseline. That's kind of one of the things I tell them, let's get a baseline and see where you're at first. Get some biometric health markers and things like that, and then we can kind of go from there.
So we know it's important to not ignore the obstacles. How are you having that conversation to get things restarted? It's really, I think a lot of people will run into a couple obstacles and fall off the path or think that goal wasn't meant for them. What's the process for getting back on track?
I think it's the little victories. Like that's where having that direct relationship with the clients is so important, because we're their cheerleaders, we're their coach, right? And so, like you said, some people don't have a linear progression. They might have a setback, and it's like you bring them back to the plate and say, look at the progress we made. Yeah, we had a little bit of a setback here, but there's no reason that I don't think we can get back to that point and then beyond it. And, working with oncology patients, this is a very big, we have a lot of setbacks.
For sure.
When patients come in to see me, they have a lot of different pathways that they have to take, whether it's they're taking a chemo journey, whether they're doing radiation. A lot of times when we're going through chemotherapy, my goal for them is we just need to maintain. We need to make sure you're maintaining it as much as you can. But absolutely, sometimes clients don't respond very well, and they have a major setback. And they get very discouraged when they get so far down. But it's having that conversation, like I said, being their cheerleader, like, no, we can absolutely get to that point. You just have to follow me. We can get you back. We just have to do it a step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, for some of us who've had, these experiences, we know that that's part of the process. I mean, that's exactly some of the things I tell my clients too, is I'm like, there's going to be a little pain before, the wins. And sometimes that's a good part of the process on the journey that tells me that they're healing too, when they're going through some of these setbacks, because we're shedding layers is what I tell them. And we have to do things that they've never done before. And actually, kind of getting them in a little bit of a discomfort zone, and kind of pushing through that. And that's part of the process.
So for someone that's not a current client, someone that's just out there, they're listening, they're going to set goals to be healthy, or maybe they've heard something about functional medicine, they've heard something about lymphatic drainage, massage. I mean, that's all coming into, it's trending, I feel like, right now. For those that aren't clients and they're setting goals, where do you get started? What advice would you give someone that just says, I want to be healthy?
Get yourself a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a coach myself in various aspects of my life, but I feel like the people who have the expertise to bring you where you want to go will make things a lot easier for you along the way, because we just can't be everything and do everything. And especially if if this isn't really your bread and butter, like what if, you don't necessarily, you work a job Monday through Friday, but then you're also trying to create your own, fitness schedule. You're trying to do all like your nutrition and things like that, but you really need guidance if you're trying to achieve those goals, whatever kind of goal it is. So that's like my first piece of input
I love
for people.
that, by the way. I love that. I also have a coach, and it is important because they have things available to them in terms of expertise and knowledge and planning that you can tap into.
Yeah. And I think it's just not like taking like everything. Like, I think it's important to start little, like make that one little change, like, okay, like cutting the sugar or, just those little attainable goals that you can start with versus like, okay, I am just going to be 100% healthy and I'm going to cut out everything. Like it's just not realistic.
Get the foundations in place.
You have to get those little foundations and stick with them. Like, set boundaries for yourself. Like, I'm going to stick with, X, Y, and Z.
For sure. I think for someone that's completely lost, we do an exercise here at True North called the Be Do Have framework. And it's where we take some time, figure out who is it. You ask yourself, who do you want to be? Who do you need to be to achieve your goals? And take 5 minutes, write down a detailed description of your future self, and really begin embodying who that person is today. So if you are unsure of what goals you need to take, think about who you want to be, start there, and then work backwards. So if I want to be a healthy, fit person, I want to show up differently in my life, what do I need to do? So my next step is, I know who I want to be. What do I have to do? I'm going to identify the actions that align with the person that I want to become. Mm-hmm. So what does that version of you do daily? So if I want to become a fit and healthy person, what do I need to do? I need to create a workout schedule. I need to hire a coach. I need to set an alarm to get up for the gym in the morning. I need to put my running shoes by the door. I need to have a water bottle with me. Mm-hmm. Those are things that a healthy person does. And then the have piece of that is, what do you want to have? Be specific and measurable. Align your goals with your identity and your actions and break them into that milestone. So that goes back to those progress notes, which I love so much. A fit and healthy person will have a workout routine that is 4 to 5 days a week. So a be, do, have framework is really effective at setting goals if you're not quite sure where to start.
Yeah, and I feel like, to be honest, I feel like things have gotten definitely easier than like 10 years ago with being able to obtain goals with data, because there's all these apps now, right? Like, I mean, I use Training Peaks with like my triathlon coach, and I have all my workouts in there scheduled, and I need that because I just go in the app and I just know exactly what I'm doing for the day. There's also like a little note section in there, so I can write like a little note and say, hey, this workout didn't go as well for me, or I wasn't able to hit this like interval or whatever it is. You can put little notes, or like, this was a really great day. So I like having that because it's like permanent documentation. I can kind of go back and look at it. But same for nutrition. There's like a ton of like free apps out there where you can actually record if you are, breaking down like your macros and things like that. Obviously we know there's, apps and biometric things now to measure like your heart rate status and your sleep and things like that.
Yeah. I think you have to find something you enjoy doing too. I think that's a big component. When you think about getting healthier and exercising, you can't, some people are just not, gym rats. Like they just don't enjoy going to the gym.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's kind of like, that's where finding that coach, what is important to you? What do you enjoy doing? Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy walking? Do you enjoy, building up strength? Like what things motivate you to move your body and get healthier? Because that's where that coach will step in. They can tailor a program specific to you to kind of help do those little things to kind of, that you enjoy doing.
For sure. I think having a why that is substantial will help you stay on track.
Yeah.
So if you fall off, if I'm doing this because I want to live a long, healthy life to play with my kids, I want to be around for my aging parents to take care of them, I want to participate in a triathlon, whatever that why is, right? It doesn't have to be sport specific, but if you do have a why that anchors you, it will help keep you motivated and keep you moving, because motivation, we know, wanes.
Yeah.
Right.
And we ask them to write it down, right? Several times, wherever, put it in front of your face every day.
Write it down and make sure that you can see it every day.
Yeah. I think equally too, in the process of working towards your goals, honestly, a big one for me is also surrounding yourself with a community of people that's going to support you along that path. And I think about that, and I love being part of like Green Bay Multisport in the Green Bay area here, because I have a ton of camaraderie in the things, because I think it would be incredibly difficult to do some of these things without a group of people in a community who's very like-minded. I mean, it's easy for me to be like, oh yeah, here we are on the weekend, like I'm going to go for my long bike ride, and then I'm going to go get coffee with my friends after. And it's just, I look forward to that. So I think you also have to surround yourself with people who are going to be like-minded with you in your goals and help support you in that process.
Absolutely.
That's great.
One of the things that I like to do is take people to the next step. So once you've identified what your goals are, there is the challenge of actually doing the goal, right? So how do you stay, Kim had said, I write it down, I put it where I can see it. That's great. It sometimes takes a lot of mental energy to create that new habit or put that new habit into practice. One of the things that I like to do is habit stacking. If you've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a very simple but powerful technique where you attach a new habit to an existing habit. So you think about the habits that you have today are your anchors. So I brush my teeth in the morning. I always make a pot of coffee every day. So those are things that I could attach a new habit to. For me, working out was part of my routine, but I just wasn't a big water drinker. So in order to get into the habit of drinking water, every day I would brush my teeth, I'd drink a glass of water, I would start the coffee, fill my water bottle.
Like physically putting it in your schedule. Yeah.
Just
in the routine. Yeah.
Linking that current habit to a new habit is much easier. It creates less mental resistance, right? It's the trigger of an existing habit. You already have that going. So just to add a new one, it doesn't seem as arduous.
Yeah, I totally do that. I have a breast self-drainage, lymphatic drainage technique that I teach my clients. And I say, do it in a shower. You're already naked in the shower. Just incorporate that drainage right when you're in the shower. Another example is balance. If a client has issues with balance, when you're brushing your teeth, put your feet together and just narrow your base of support to challenge your balance. So I love the fact of incorporating those little tasks in your day.
Yeah, I love that too. I like the one where you said like put your running shoes next to the door, or like so it can be in your line of vision, every day, so you're not seeing it. Because I do that with like supplements or particular things. I'll put them like out on the counter. Like I have one for like my vitamin D, because I want to make sure I take that like every day in the winter. So I put that one like right next to like my morning where I'm going to make my coffee and stuff like that. We have to have that accountability, I think, too, for our goals.
For sure. I think starting small is a big. I always say I think. I'm gonna erase that. Starting small is absolutely a great way to be successful. Make the new habit simple to execute so that you build momentum. Another tip would be to stay consistent. The more you repeat a habit stack, the stronger that connection becomes. So every morning when I make a pot of coffee, I fill my water jug, which I carry a pail of water similar to yours, so that I just have to fill it one time. Again, that makes it easy for me. Carrying an 8-ounce glass of, an 8-ounce water bottle and having to fill that 8 times during the day is not realistic.
It's not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen.
Not. So the easier you can make that habit to execute, the more successful you will be. The other thing is to build gradually. A lot of us will sit down this time of year and, okay, here's my goals. Here's my spiritual goal. Here's my health goal. Here's my professional goal. And all of a sudden you've got a list of 10 things to do. It's a marathon pace. Build gradually. Build a habit. Once that habit starts to feel automatic, then go ahead and stack another habit. It's good to have a running list, but you don't need to implement 100 things January 1st.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a common theme for January, right? People are they're very motivated in the first of the new year and everything, and then they have this long laundry list of things, when really, you should have had those kind of foundations and these things that you're slowly working on regularly, so that it doesn't become like this huge task right at the beginning of the year. And obviously that's where people fall off the wagon, and when it comes to like February and things like that.
Too lofty, yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is keeping flexibility in your schedule. So there are certain things that I want to read more. I want to meditate for 10 minutes every day. I want to walk. I want to journal in a gratitude journal. Whatever those things are, I know that there are days where I'm not going to be able to do those 10 things, even though they're a couple minutes apiece. And so what I've done is they are components of my perfect day. I rarely do all of them, but they are components of my perfect day. And if I can do 1 or 2 things off of that list, it's a good day. If I can read for 10 minutes and I do a gratitude journal, cool. If I can walk one day, and if I can do a red light therapy session, great. So you don't have to have a rigid schedule to follow when you're building goals. It can be come up with a couple things and call it good.
Oh, the consistency. That's what I hear, like consistency. Because I always tell that to clients too. I'm like, okay, you don't have to do these things every day, but let's be consistent with them and you will see results. And nothing happens overnight, right? So it's not like, okay, for 1 week, I'm going to do this list. I'm going to do it all every day for 7 days and then expect, changes. It's more just like this chronic consistency that's going to bring you there.
Absolutely.
I think having the ability to forgive yourself too, because we've all fallen off the bandwagon, because sometimes you have that goal and, you slip off, right? And then you just beat yourself up so bad. It's like, give yourself some grace. Yep. Like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. Like I'm going to pick up and do better tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I think it's great.
For sure. And I think it's really important too for our goals is to be able to monitor your progress and have regular check-ins throughout the process. And just, have that goal that you're going to set. And then, okay, here we are. We're beginning in January and then we're going to have a check-in at February and mid-February or something. And what do you want to accomplish to that date? Because when you set those baby steps, it's much more achievable.
Absolutely. Consistency, keeping that consistent action until it feels effortless. It is not about doing everything at once. It's about small intentional changes that compound over time. If you are listening, think of a habit that you want to build this week. What's an anchor habit that you already have that you could stack it on? Write it down, start small, and let us know how it goes. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Integrative Edge. We will see you next week. Thank you, Dr. Kim. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. See you next week.